what happens is that people are worried that people are judging them or doubting them. When in society, no one should judge one another because the only person that should judge is the man upstairs, right? So
Are we ready, Jonathan? Good to go?
yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Humans of Mitti Ke Rang podcast. Today we have with us Jonathan Javier, all the way from San Francisco, and I'm extremely delighted to welcome him on the show. Hi, Jonathan.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Good. I'm so excited to be here. First off, thank you so much for inviting me. Really appreciate it. Everybody, before we start, check this out. I just got these, look at this. I just got these AirPod cases and I think they're just super awesome to say the least. So I just wanted to shout out Nintendo Switch for seeing this. So
Okay. Yeah. So I want to give the audience a little background about you so that, we can go into the flow then with the conversation. So Jonathan is the founder and CEO of One Sculpting, which was started with the aim of turning underdogs into winners. And he has previously worked in the operations and strategy team at Snap, Google, and Cisco. He is working with multiple community initiatives and has delivered several talks at global platforms such as TED Talks, Google Talks, and many more. He has a whopping 50,000 plus followers on LinkedIn, and I cannot wait to get into the conversation with him. So welcome again.
All right. Thank you so much. And I know I've done a lot of different things, but it's been fun to say the least, and that's why I love doing it. So love being here.
That's amazing. We're glad to have you on the show. So the first thing I want to know, Jonathan, is how, can you just let us know a little bit more about One Sculpting and basically how did you come up with the idea of it?
Yeah, of course. So One Sculpting's mission is to turn underdogs into winners. So
Right.
helping those from non-target schools and non-traditional backgrounds and then help them get into their dream careers. So
Okay.
yeah, so far we've done over 130 workshops and speaking
Okay.
engagements in under 2 years.
Wow.
But it's been incredible to say the least because the idea came up because I saw that there's a need between these non-target schools that companies don't directly recruit from, and
Yeah.
people who come from non-traditional backgrounds like first generation students, et cetera, and then getting into the top companies. And the
Right.
thing is, though, the system will teach these students that you have to simply apply to roles directly on their websites, et cetera, when in fact, it doesn't work like that. You literally have to use LinkedIn. So that's why for my career, for all my positions, I just use LinkedIn to get into each one of them and helped a lot of different individuals
Wow.
do the same as well. But yeah, that's how it all came about. It was just an idea at first,
Right.
but it's ultimately come into something that's been amazing to say the least, and has been able to impact tens of thousands of people.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to talk more about it throughout this call.
Right. So Jonathan, were there any specific people who really, kind of helped you along the journey, or was it initially just your brainchild and you just wanted to work around it and see how it goes? So was there any particular vision, or were there people, alongside you who were there during this initiative in the ideation phase, or was it just solely your idea?
Yeah, so when I first started, it was just me at first. It
Okay.
was just like an idea, like I said. I actually drew my logo, and it was my logo was literally a W, and it
Okay.
looked like a third grader drew it. But yeah, when I started it, my first month, I was doing I did 20 workshops in or like a bunch of workshops in my first
Right.
month.
Right.
What I would do is I would drive to all the different schools. I do them all for free too as well,
Hmm.
and just speak to thousands of students because I just wanted to kind of grow the branding aspect of it. So
Right.
I went obviously UCR, some schools, some other smaller schools, etc., and then grew the branding like that. But yeah, since then, our team has grown immensely. We've had a lot of good support, especially from some amazing individuals. One being my business partner and one of my good friends, Jerry Lee, who's our COO. And
Right.
then we have a lot of members that have been doing amazing things. But yeah, it's just all about turning underdogs into winners and helping people. That's what I think that's very important, especially in this day and age, to
Right.
just help one another. Because at the end of the day, we all are trying to make our dreams into realities. But the
Yeah.
thing is, we need to help each other get those and make those things happen. So that's what it's all about.
Right. That's amazing. I think not many people really want to grow alongside helping other people grow, right? I mean, uplifting others while you're growing and progressing in your life. And I believe One Sculpting is doing that, and you're impacting a large number of people. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And I mean, no, you bring up a good point, especially with helping each other, because what happens in today's society is that
Yeah,
people, the system will teach people that it's a competition. And
exactly.
like, that's what I felt too when I was trying to get into my career. But if you think about it, there's so many positions that are out there, but there are also so many companies out there that things aren't proprietary like nowadays.
Right.
So there shouldn't be competition, it should be community. I don't know why people, for example, like try to put down each other and things like that. Like, hey, like don't apply to this role or
Yeah,
don't go for XYZ because I'm going for it. When in
right.
reality, it shouldn't be like that. But unfortunately, society teaches individuals that that's the way to go, that you
Yeah,
have to be one up more than another person, and it's cutthroat.
right.
Shouldn't be like that. Shouldn't
Yeah.
be like that. Should all grow together. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that all of our listeners, get a lot of feedback on how we should be moving ahead in this phase, especially because I know that things are not really in the best phase right now because of COVID. There's a lot of competition. People have been laid off, and it's not the best place to be in. But as long as we are growing together, right, as a community and helping each other grow, I think it's all going to be okay. So,
Exactly. Grow
yeah,
together. That's the put that
right.
hashtag grow together.
Yeah, grow together. So, Jonathan, you were previously working in the strategy and operations team with Google, Snap, and Cisco, which are very, very well-renowned and global MNCs to work for. So, how was your journey there, working there in their departments, and having worked across such various and diverse profiles?
Yeah, it was great. So for all those positions, I just use LinkedIn to get in each one. So
Okay.
like LinkedIn message for Snapchat, LinkedIn content creation for Google, and then
Okay.
personal branding for Cisco. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I can give a quick walkthrough of each one. Like Snapchat was great. I was
Sure.
only there for 6 months.
Okay.
So I worked a lot on product operations for like updates and for communicating with customers.
Right.
Unfortunately, our team got outsourced 6 months in. So that's when I left. But then I made a LinkedIn post, which then I was able to get into Google with the help of Jerry. So I worked at Google specifically in sales strategy and ops, which
Okay.
was good ads, and then started One Sculpting and then went to Cisco which for go to market. The crazy part is for all these positions, like they never recruited from my school. I just use LinkedIn. So that's why I
Oh,
stress using LinkedIn because
yeah.
they didn't come to recruit from my school. So I had to like kind of go out of my way to go find these different opportunities. And that's what I
Right.
suggest to everybody all the time. Like you have to go outside of the box,
Yeah.
especially with trying to get into these big top companies.
True. And I think LinkedIn, if you're really active on it and if you're using it and optimizing it, and the way you have been using it productively, I think there comes a phase wherein the recruiters get into your mailbox and it's not the other way around, just as it happened with you.
That's true. And
Yeah,
you just have to reach out to people.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's just a thing. The culture, like specifically Asian culture, it's taboo to reach out to people or talk to strangers. When in reality, if people are willing to help, you just have to
Yeah,
ask. If you
agreed.
never ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah,
And if you never ask, you never know.
agreed. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, how did the shift from working in three different MNCs and being doing really well in your corporate world to getting into entrepreneurship and starting your own initiative or organization of sorts? How did that happen?
Yeah. So to be transparent for Snapchat, Google, Cisco, the only reason why I work there
Yeah,
is because for the credibility aspect, but then also like people always told me that I could never work at these companies because I came from my specific background in school. So I just told myself, okay, I'm just gonna go get into each segment of
yeah.
tech, which is startup software and hardware, and I'm gonna get into each one into the hardest field.
Wow.
Totally use that and be there for like a year each. Which I mean, I was at Snap for a year. It was only 6 months, but still.
Yeah, I get
But
it. I
yeah, I
get the
told
point.
yeah, so I just told myself I'd get into all these different companies and just show people that you can get in regardless of your background because like I said before, society teaches us that you can't get into these companies when in reality you can. It just said you have to think outside the box. And that's what I did all the time. Like thinking outside the box is so important.
Yeah.
It just, you just have to do it, because if you don't do it, and the thing is too as well, like for people listening, uh, if you do something different, a lot of people are going to be looking at you, be like, why is this person trying to change the status quo? But those people who change the status quo are the people, the leaders of society who make change in the world, right? They
Right.
don't conform to norms or conform to the same thing that everybody else is doing. They do things that are the 1% rather than the 99.
Right. Right. Yeah. You have to stand out and be different from the crowd. There has to be something that you do different from the other set of people for you to shine out, right? Yeah. Great. That's
Exactly.
amazing. So, Jonathan, with LinkedIn, like from when have you been using LinkedIn? And I'm really curious in knowing how did you build up to a 50,000 follower following, basically, because that's a huge number and not every other person has it for sure. And I think you've built a very trustworthy and a productive community out of it. So, how did you exactly do it?
Yeah. So I first started LinkedIn when I was in college. I think I was a senior.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was long, like 4 years ago. Yeah. But I didn't like practically use it until like the past like few years. But how I grew my following was, number one, just providing content and valuable content,
Yeah.
right? Like it's very important to provide value to others, because it, people see through things that aren't valuable. So what I try to do is like all my experiences that I've learned throughout my career, whether it was in school, or after or post grad, I try to document, or I try to remember the things that I went through, especially uh, getting into my career, because I wanted to teach other people how to do the same,
Right.
right? So, yeah, another thing too as well, building that community is so important. So I
Right.
see nowadays a lot of people with a lot of followers, that's great, but the thing is that some people don't respond to people on their comments, or like
Yeah.
on messages. Like I try to respond to everybody. Reason being is because I try to respond to, like, I get like 100+ messages a day, like
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, but I
Yeah.
respond to everybody, because if you take 15 seconds out of your day to speak with someone, they should in turn take 15 seconds to at least respond. So it's very important to do that, because then it shows for example, your recognition piece, that you're
Right.
recognizing your talent and your content. And then last but not least, just hosting different events that are super valuable. Like I try to bring speakers, like good speakers from like the big top tech companies, but then also that are leaders, just trying to advocate for not only their work, but also teach the underdogs and people that come to our events, the different strategies that they've utilized in order for them to get into their careers.
Right.
So I think those three things have been super important. And then last but not least, just being kind of the first movers, as I say. First movers meaning like being the trend, like kind of trendsetters. So for
Yeah.
example, like when we did our speaker series, a lot of people followed suit in regards to doing their own speaker series, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But just being kind of the first people to do it, it's important, because that then sets the precedent for other people to follow, and that builds that community aspect that I spoke about.
Right, right. That's so true. So that's really amazing. I mean, Jonathan, you've been doing some amazing work, and especially the part where you said that even if you take up 15 seconds of your time to respond to someone who has taken out time to reflect on or maybe engage with your content and has found something valuable, it's extremely important to respond to them because you never know how your relationship might turn out in the longer run. Because we never know how a relationship is going to be built in the future. And at the end of the day, it's all about building a strong and cohesive community.
It's true. And it's all about following up too, because you
Yeah,
also never know where that person's going to be in the future. Very
exactly.
important. Following up, so
Yeah,
important.
true, true. So, you've given some amazing global talks at, I think, of various and numerous number of platforms, be it TED Talks, be it Google Talks, be it meetups or summits. So, having given so many talks, do you have any top three pro tips for being a good and an engaging speaker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love public speaking. I actually used to be an introvert, so I actually didn't used to like
Okay.
speaking before.
Yeah.
But yeah, three tips. Number one, be engaging with your audience.
Okay.
Reason being is if you're just super monotone, or you're
Mm-hmm.
just pretending like you're just talking or lecturing,
Yeah.
it's you have to be engaging, because engaging for me personally, I get energy from people. So if I see that they're engaged, I'll get engaged too as well. That's
Right.
why you see on my LinkedIn lives
Yeah.
that I like people to put into the chat where they're from, what their energy level is, etc. So that's one part. Number two, I know the nerves. A lot of people get nervous, especially with public speaking.
Yeah.
What I say is one of the reasons why people get nervous is because they look at people's titles that are in the meetings, or like, for example, like, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of CEOs or leaders.
Yeah.
What I do nowadays, I mean, I don't look at people as their titles. I look at people, for example, just like, okay, I'm speaking to a crowd of different individuals and I have the stage, right? I have the stage and it's up to me to influence them or me to share my voice. So
Right.
that part. And number three, the confidence aspect, having a
Right.
voice. What happens is that people are worried that people are judging them or doubting them. When in society, no one should judge one another, because the only person that should judge is the man upstairs, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely having that confidence is extremely important. And how you can have that confidence too as well is tell your friends to come to your events. It's so very important, because when I first started, I told my friends, hey, come to my events
Yeah.
and hype me up. Right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because then they'll be in the crowd and they'll get you excited and then you feel more comfortable,
You
right?
need that
Oh,
support. Yeah.
exactly. Last but not least, this is what I do. Do you remember how I started this? This I literally introduced this,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The reason why I did that is not because I'm shouting out Nintendo Switch. It's because it's to break the ice.
Right.
It's very important to break the ice,
Yeah.
especially when you're doing communication. That's why I actually have my posters in the back right here of
Yeah.
Kobe, Michael Jordan, and LeBron, because it's
I've been
nice,
seeing them. Yeah.
right? And people then ask, like, who's your favorite player? And then I have a conversation on basketball rather than the
Yeah.
actual conversation until it actually happens. So very
Right.
small little, but they work.
That's really amazing, and that's so unique. I mean, yeah, that's something. These are the small things, right? We don't look into the intricacies, but they play a very large role in the future. And I think the audience has got like the best pro 3 tips for public speaking right there. Thanks to Jonathan. Yeah. So the
If you
next
guys
time,
like
I
it,
think,
definitely let us
yeah,
know.
you can reach out to him on LinkedIn in case you're going to be speaking on any event, giving a webinar or anything of sorts. I think he's the best person to reach out to for that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, you've done so much, in your life already, even though it's a pretty early stage for your career or anything in general. What is it that keeps you going, keeps you driven, and who is your role model? So these are the two questions that I have for you.
Yeah. What keeps me going is when people get like jobs during these times, like literally everyone, like one person a day gets a job from One Sculpting, which is
Wow.
great, and even more. So
Wow.
it's always just great just hearing their stories, because they'll
Yeah.
usually reach out to me like, hey, I got a job at Google. Hey, I got a job at Cisco. I got a job at Snap. And the crazy part is that what do you call it? The crazy part is that I didn't work directly with some of them. It's just through like my content, for example.
Yeah.
So that means that something's working at least, right? So that recognition piece is extremely important, and advocating and amplifying those voices or success stories to
Right.
motivate other people to get into their careers. I feel like that is very important, especially for me, because that gets me motivated. Someone that I look up to would be, there's a lot of people I look up to, but what
Yeah.
I look up to is, of course, my mom, because she's very
Uh-huh.
important to me.
Yeah.
She's actually been the one working class person in my family. So she's the one who provides food on the table. So she always motivates me to be the best version of myself,
Yeah.
not only for my own being, but for others.
Right.
And then who I look up to specifically with advice would probably be Gary Vee. I like Gary Vee.
Gary Vee.
A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I don't like Gary Vee, but he's
I
very
love
real.
him. I love him.
He's very
I love
real,
him.
right? He's very real. He's very straight up. I know he
Yeah.
cusses, so but
Yeah.
like still, he's a very real guy, and
Yeah.
he gives the. Uh, you just have to implement it. It's just things that you need to hear, but you don't want to hear. I think that's
Right.
what happens in
Yeah.
society too. We hear
Actually.
things we don't want to
Yeah.
hear, and we get biased. But he
Yeah.
just straight
He
up.
spills out the truth. Yeah, he spills out the truth, no matter how it's perceived and taken. And that's what I like
Exactly.
about him personally. Yeah. So, Jonathan, what is your vision with respect to consulting for the future to come? Is there anything specific in your mind, or you want to take it as it comes?
Yeah. So I mean, we have a lot planned
Right.
for One Soul. a lot. I won't say it yet, but we will we will in the future. But right now,
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing a lot of different events. So we've been, like I said before, we've partnered with a lot of universities and organizations, which has been amazing. But not only that, like we've partnered with companies. We've
Wow.
partnered about 20 companies to recruit the students
Okay.
that we've worked with in the past. So like, for example, like I've been connecting a lot of these people that I worked with at schools and organizations to these companies,
Right.
and they've been able to get jobs from that, which has been awesome. So we've been doing that. We
Yeah.
did the One Sculpting Project 2020, which is
Right.
basically we about 4,500 people, projects, and internships for the summer, which is crazy to say the least. That's a huge number of people who signed up.
Yeah.
So that's been good. For the past month, since June, beginning of June, we've actually grown
Mm-hmm.
immensely. Like we grew about 12,000 followers on
Wow.
LinkedIn
Okay.
page. Also, just we partnered with 20 companies literally in those 2 months,
Yeah.
um, which is insane.
It's
So these
insane.
past two
Yeah.
months have been our best months, and I'm really looking forward to it. And then last but not least, we have our masterclass,
Okay.
which is basically how do you land your dream job without applying. It's going to be on September 5th. So if
Okay.
anybody's interested, I'll drop a link later
Yeah.
on today. Right
Sure,
now.
sure. Please make sure to join the masterclass because I'm sure you're gonna gain some insightful learnings and lessons to get into companies via the non-orthodox way, and getting into the companies by the recruiters reaching out to you rather than you reaching out to them. But yeah, you have to think out of the box, like Jonathan has been mentioning all along. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
join the masterclass
Definitely.
for sure. So, Jonathan, is there any piece of advice that you have for people who want to do something similar to what you're doing, or maybe in general to the youth?
Yeah, so I'd say just do it. The reason being is because what happens is
Yeah,
people always scared to start a company or start something
yeah,
because like they'll be judged. But no, you should just do it because if you don't, this is a perfect time to do it too as well because
yeah,
with all the things happening, I mean, it just makes sense to. So that part's very important. You're having a support system or having people that support your company and business is extremely important. So make sure to always, hold them close to you and make sure that they advocate for you as well. Last but not least, yeah, utilize LinkedIn in order to grow your business. That's exactly what I've done. And I've helped a lot of other people do too.
yeah.
So yeah, it's very important just to do all those different things because if you do so, then you're able to kind of grow and scale.
So, so those were some golden nuggets, honestly, and I'm going to implement them too and keep them noted. Yeah. So, Jonathan, if coming back to the point wherein your entire journey and everything, you've given a gist to our viewers with respect to what you've been doing. As I introduced in the beginning, you're from San Francisco, and we have a lot of Indian viewers. Is there anything special about your country that you really love or you hold dear to yourself that you would like to share for our Indian viewers?
Yeah. Yeah, good question. Yeah. So, I mean, over here, it's really, I mean, it's nice over here. I mean, it's always sunny, as you can tell. It's literally sunny
Yeah,
all the time. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities here, especially with like getting into tech, for example, like here in Silicon Valley. Like,
right.
of course, it's like the tech hub.
Yeah,
Like, what I always try to say to myself is, of course, I'm very privileged and humbled to be here. But the thing is, like, I try to help other people get here too as well. So that's what's extremely important to me because, like, of course, I live here in the States, but the thing is, I want to help other people achieve the same dreams and ambitions that I put forth to myself and have other people achieve those too. So, yeah, I mean, if anybody's interested in learning more about how to get into their dream companies, let me know. I mean, I have the masterclass, but then I also have so many articles and posts on LinkedIn. So
yeah.
definitely check them out.
Sure, sure. Thank you for that, Jonathan. So, as we're coming towards the end of the session, how can our viewers reach out to you, or basically keep themselves updated with the kind of work you're doing or One Consulting is doing post this podcast?
Yeah. So add me on LinkedIn, just Jonathan Javier. Send a
Yeah,
personalized invite saying that you were listening to the podcast /live. It's very important. Definitely follow us on LinkedIn. It's just One Consulting.
yeah.
Um, yeah. And if you're interested in any of our services, it's hello@oneconsulting.com or partnering with us. It's partnerships@oneconsulting.com. But
Okay.
yeah, yeah, definitely let me know. Send me a message and let's collaborate.
That's great. That's amazing. So I think our viewers have noted all of that down, and I'm sure a lot of them are going to reach out to you. So thank you so much, Jonathan, for taking out your time and joining me today. And it's been a pleasure hosting you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, thank you, viewers, for joining in. And it was an amazing session. I hope you gained a lot of insights. And we'll see you in the next session. Thank you very much.